When you look at different Task 1 general training prompts, you might think to yourself, oh, Task 1 is all over the place. One question asks you to write to your landlord. Another asks you to write to a company. Then the next one asks you to write to a friend. So it feels like every letter is different and there are unlimited Task 1 topics. But if you go through all the general training Task 1 prompts published by Cambridge, like I did, a pattern becomes clear. The topics change, the situations change, the person you write to changes, but the functions repeat. Hi, I'm Ethan. In this video, I'm going to simplify general training task 1 for you. I personally went through all Cambridge IELTS task 1 prompts, grouped them by function, and what I found is this. General training task 1 is built around a small number of repeated functions. So in this lesson, I want to show you the 8 main functions that keep coming up again and again. For each one, I'll explain what it means, give you a couple examples, and show you the kind of task 1 question where that particular function appears. But this video is not about teaching phrases. This is about organizing your mind around functions. Then in the next 2 videos, we'll build on this and look at the actual phrases you can use for these functions in your own letters. This lesson will help you see the patterns behind task 1 letters. So stick with me till the very end. In general training task 1, a function is simply the job your sentence or your paragraph is doing. Are you asking for something? Are you explaining a situation? Are you complaining about a problem? Are you apologizing for something you did? Are you suggesting an idea? That job is called function. And here is the key idea. Most task 1 letters do not have just one function. They usually have 2, 3, or even more functions. So, for example, a complaint letter does not only complain, it may also explain the situation, describe the problem, or request action. An application letter does not only apply, it may also explain why you want that role, describe your skills, and say when you're available. A letter to a friend may give advice, invite, thank, or ask for help, all in the same letter. So instead of asking, what type of letter is this? You should ask, what functions do I need to perform in this task? Because once you see the functions, you stop seeing 20 random letter topics and you start seeing a small number of repeated jobs. So now let's look at the 8 main functions that appear again and again. The first function is requesting. Requesting means asking someone for information, or permission, help, or action. For example, you might ask a friend to help you find a part-time job. You might write, I was wondering if you could help me find a part-time job while I'm studying there. Or you might ask your manager for some time off work. I'm writing to request 5 days off work next month for an important family matter. The second function is explaining or giving information. This means giving background information, reasons, details, or describing a situation clearly. For example, you may need to explain why you moved house. You might write, I've recently moved to a new apartment because it is much closer to my workplace. Or you may need to give details about a course you studied at university. The course focused mainly on applied linguistics, language teaching methods, and classroom assessment. This function appears in most task 1 letters because even when the main purpose is different, you still usually need to explain the situation. Let's go to a function everyone is good at. Complaining. Complaining means saying that something is wrong or unsatisfactory, or has caused a problem. For example, you might write about a piece of kitchen equipment that did not work. I'm writing to complain about a kitchen appliance I bought from your shop last week, which stopped working after just 2 days. Or you might write to a magazine editor because they published wrong information about your town. I'm writing to point out that your recent article contained several inaccurate statements about my town. In letters like these, you need to describe the problem clearly and usually say what action you want taken. The fourth function is apologizing. This means saying sorry because you caused a problem, an inconvenience, or a delay. I'm really sorry for the noise from my flat over the past few days and for any inconvenience this has caused you. In these letters, the goal is not only to say sorry, it's also to show responsibility. I'm sorry I haven't written sooner, but I've been extremely busy since I got back from the trip, and I should have contacted you earlier. The next function is applying. Applying means showing that you're suitable for a job, for a role, for a university program. For example, you might apply to do unpaid work at a museum. I would like to apply for the voluntary position at your museum because I have always been interested in history and public education. In these letters, you usually need to explain your interest, describe your skills, and mention your availability. I'm writing to apply for the position as I believe I would be well suited to teaching your children my language. The sixth function is suggesting or recommending, advising, which are pretty much the same thing. This means telling someone what you think they should do or what would be a good idea. I would definitely recommend this course because it is practical, well structured, and taught by experienced lecturers. You're guiding the reader towards a decision. The seventh function is thanking. Thanking means showing appreciation for help, kindness, hospitality, or good service. You might write to your host, thank you so much for your hospitality and for sending the photos from our holiday. They brought back some great memories. Or you might write to a restaurant manager to say how pleased you were with the food and service. I'm writing to say how pleased I was with both the food and the excellent service at your restaurant last Saturday evening. The eighth function is inviting. Inviting means asking someone to come, visit, stay, or join something. You might invite a friend to visit your new house. I'd love you to come and stay with me for a few days once you have some free time. Or you might invite a neighbor to your party. I'd like to invite you to my housewarming party this Saturday evening, and I hope you'll be able to come. This function often appears in friendly or semi-formal letters. Now, let's look at how these functions appear in actual general training task 1 prompts. When you read the task, don't just think about the topic. Look at the job each bullet point is asking you to do. This is where the functions are. Let's look at this task. You're going to another country to study. You would like to do a part-time job while you're studying. So you want to ask a friend who lives there for some help. Write a letter to this friend. In your letter, give details of your study plans. Explain why you want to get a part-time job. Suggest how your friend could help you find a job. Now, what functions do we need here? First, you need explaining. Why? Because the task says give details of your study plans and explain why you want the job. Second, you need requesting or asking for help. Why? Because in the end, you're asking your friend to help you find work. So this one letter already includes more than one function. It's not just a letter to a friend, it's a letter where you need to explain and to request. Look at this task. You recently bought a piece of equipment for your kitchen, but it did not work. You phoned the shop, but no action was taken. Write a letter to the shop manager. In your letter, describe the problem with the equipment. Explain what happened when you phoned the shop. Say what you would like the manager to do. Now, what functions do we need here? First, you need complaining. This is the main purpose of the letter. Second, you need explaining because you must describe the problem and explain what happened before. And third, you need requesting because the last bullet point asks you to say what action you want the manager to take. So again, one task, but several functions. And this is exactly why understanding functions makes general training task 1 feel much more organized. So here is the big idea we just learned. In general training task 1, don't try to memorize 100 different letter types. This is not the best way to look at the task. Instead, train yourself to recognize the functions. Ask, what is this letter asking me to do? Do I need to request, explain, complain, apologize, apply, suggest, thank, or ask for help? And one of the easiest ways to do that is to look carefully at the task bullets. The verbs in those bullet points usually tell you the functions. Words like explain, describe, say, thank, ask, apologize, suggest, invite, recommend, those words are telling you what each part of the letter needs to do. So if you take a few seconds before you write to look at the task and identify the functions first, that will make your planning clearer and your paragraphs more focused and your letter much easier to control. In the next 2 videos, we'll build on this and look at the actual phrases you can use for these functions in your own task 1 letters. I wish you good luck with your preparation. I'll see you in another video. And by the way, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel.